Hi, welcome to Big Guy Boards. This is going to be a review of the Firewire Tomo Evo. I'll give you a bit of background on what interested me about this board. So obviously, as from the perspective of a bigger guy, riding more performance outlines, performance shapes, generally you have to sacrifice a bit of length to get the volume in there, which can then hinder performance. You can't get a smaller radius on your turns. It's harder to get snappy turns as well on a longer board. So I've been really interested in this board for a while because it's got relatively short length for the amount of volume, and it's supposed to be more of a performance board. So clearly it's got the, everyone knows about it now, the rectangular, parallel rails, which help get the volume in there. So I went for slightly more volume than my performance short board. So my performance boards are usually, like good wave boards, are usually around 42, 43 litres. Stepping down from that down to a kind of daily driver or grovel would probably be around 45. So that's what I went for in this. Tomo said this is intended to be more of a daily driver, not as much one of your rare good days. So I went for that. When I got it, straight away looking at it, holding it under my arm, I was really excited about it. I thought it would be a really fun to ride, really snappy. It just seemed like, just looking at the outline and length of it, I imagined because there's reduced length, it would be more kind of snappy off the top. Under the arm, it didn't feel as high volume as the volume it actually has, so it didn't feel like a 45 litre board at all, which was quite interesting. So I was really excited to get it in the water. First conditions I rode it in were quite small grovel type waves. So I expected it to go quite well in grovel waves, obviously due to the outline, the width in the tail, the channels in the tail there, and the channel running under the centre. This is obviously generating quite a lot of lift in the tail. I won't go into the detail in the channels. I'm sure you can look that up if you're not already familiar with it. But it's got quite unique channels there in the tail, and I thought, all those features would make it a really good small wave performance board. So the conditions there were probably waist high max. It wasn't a really walled up wave either, it's more of a kind of slightly sloped faced wave. And I really struggled to generate any speed at all on the board. Maybe one or two really nice set waves that were kind of holding up, but generally it didn't go at all. And I've recently had a comparison between the puddle jumper I've had recently, the LFT puddle jumper, similar volume. And also I've just got a lost beanbag as well, and I know I would have got a lot more waves and been able to generate more speed on those boards. So for me, as a bigger guy, it's not really ideal for those small waves. I've got a theory behind why that is, and it's just a theory. So I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm not, claiming to be some expert on surfboard design or any kind of knowledge about shaping boards, but it's just my theory. I'll be interested to hear if anyone's, got any comments on that, whether they agree or disagree with what I'm saying. But my theory is, obviously, this is quite small and compact for such a high volume board, but still, to get the volume that I need, it's still a 6'2" long board. I generally ride off the tail quite a lot. I move up and down on the tail pad, but I generally don't come much further forward than that. So if you imagine where my feet are placed, there's still quite a lot of board in front of me there. If my, all my weight's on the back of the board here, I don't think I'll be creating as much drive as I would need on a smaller, less powerful wave. Whereas, guys average or below, sized guys are going to be getting probably, I think they're riding around, definitely below 6 foot, like mid 5 foot, 5, 6 or something. So they're going to have, loads less board in front of them. So perhaps find it easier to generate more speed on the smaller wave because they're getting more drive off the front foot because there's less board there. And that's my theory. Could be right, could be wrong, but as a bigger guy, it doesn't go in smaller waves. And as I say, I got this in slightly more volume than my shortboard dimensions. So I don't think I was hindered by the volume at all. So yeah, no good in small waves at all really. I was riding it as a quad as well in those waves, so I thought I'd get a bit of squirt from the quad fins, but it wasn't happening. So following that, I've also ridden it in average to good conditions. So we recently had a swell. It was forecast probably around shoulder, head high max. But during that swell, one of the days, the sets were well overhead, not massive, not double over or anything like that, but you know, well overhead on the sets. And then some of the times, you know, you get some shoulder and head high waves during that swell as well. So in the shoulder-ish, head high, kind of daily driver kind of waves, I'd say it was just on the cusp between a daily driver and a shortboard kind of waves. They were really good, you know, clean, nice held up waves. I was really impressed with the board straight away. So it generates speed really easily, that's effortless. And it's really easy to ride, really great for paddling in, really stable, and just a really easy board to surf on. So I've been carrying a bit of a repetitive injury at the moment. It's turf toe, which is just where I'm catching my foot as I'm popping up. So I've been adjusting my pop up, and I think on a different board I would have struggled a bit more with that, but because this is such a user-friendly, easy to ride board, you know, it's in the back of my mind. I was trying to adjust how I'm popping up, but it didn't have that big an effect. So I think that was testament to how easy this board is to ride and how user-friendly it is. So that was fantastic. So down the line, speed really good. The next thing I noticed instantly was I've never felt anything like the way it transitions from between turns is unbelievable. It's just glides between turns, and it's almost one movement, and it just felt really good for that. So as an example, coming off the top on my backhand, coming round, the wave kind of held up a bit, so I was come off the top into a kind of a bit of a cutback, and it just felt amazing. It felt so good. I've never felt a board like that before, so I was really impressed with that. So what I then found was, if I tried to do shorter radius turns or trying to snap off the top, so I thought it'd be quite a snappy board, and I tried to do some quite more progressive turns off the top, and also some kind of tighter radius turns on the face of the wave, and it didn't like that really at all. It felt, you know, it would come off the top quite vertically, but you really had to think about it almost if you're riding quite a big board, and you really have to put a lot of thought into how you're gonna kind of approach the lip there. It felt a bit like that really. It didn't feel as effortless as riding a more high performance outline. And in the bigger waves, so as I said, during that swell, there were some quite solid sets coming through. I had a few of those, and I didn't really like the board in those waves either. I felt, because there's the tail was generating so much lift, I just didn't really trust it on the bottom turn, or even kind of racing down the line and just turning on the face really. I think it gets to a certain size for me for this, and I was thinking, after I'd had a few waves, like good solid set waves, I thought I'd much prefer to be on my shortboard. I just feel so much more comfortable on that. I just feel like the rail's engaging more on shortboard when it gets to a certain size compared to this. Yeah, so fin wise, I said I was riding it as a quad. It comes as a 5 fin setup, so potentially I could have ridden it as a thruster. They may have changed slightly in the kind of solid conditions, but I don't think the change in fin setup would have made such a big difference that it would change my mind about the board. It might have felt slightly more control on the turns, but I think, as I say, there's so much lift generated, I don't think that would have made much difference. One thing I would like to do though, is, for me, this felt like you could definitely come down in volume in this board. So as I say, I was riding it in the kind of volume I'd ride a kind of daily driver, or maybe just approaching a gravel board volume. So it was 2 or 3 litres above my performance short board, but I think you could definitely come down to yeah, you know, performance board volume, possibly even a bit below. It just felt like it was that easy to surf that you could come down in volume. So that for me, if I was on my shortboard volume, it would be a 6.0, and then potentially I'd like to try even less volume than that. That potentially could make it feel a bit more snappy in the turns, and you know, a bit better in the pocket for doing those, you know, shorter radius turns coming off the top. I don't know, and I couldn't comment because I haven't tried that. So for me, you know, with slightly more volume, it's good, really good down the line, really easy to surf, and really good for open face turns, especially the transitions. But yeah, if you're going for a bit more performance, from what I've experienced from the board, it just lacks that real performance. I'm really getting into my performance outlines at the moment, and you know, really pushing my surfing and trying to, you know, I think I'm a better surfer than I am basically. But yeah, so I'm really going for that high performance feel at the moment, and this didn't really give me that. But yeah, definitely if you're transitioning down for bigger boards, if you just want something to go down the line and, you know, do really nice glidey turns on the face, it's great for that. And I've never felt a board under my feet like it. It does feel really good, but not a groveler. So that's the Firewire Tomo Evo. Thanks for watching.